Hi, Story Gordon here. Welcome to my new program, How to Create the Perfect Program. Now, before you say, wait a minute, there's no such thing, there is, and you can prove it. Think about all the speakers you've heard, and then pick out those who have delivered the perfect program. Now think about how many others in the audience thought it was the perfect program. Very few. The perfect program exists in the mind of the audience, or I should say minds, plural, because everyone in an audience is an audience. So this then is what I call the speaker's dilemma. How do I create and deliver a program that's going to be perfect in the minds of the audience? And the answer is, I can't. But isn't that what speaking is about? To take a page out of Stephen King's memoir on writing, a memoir of the craft, he said that the purpose of writing was to create mind activity. It was William James who said the sole purpose of reading was to force the mind to do its own thinking. Well, my view is that speaking is a similar calling. It's an art form. And that what we're trying to do as speakers, whether we're trying to inform, influence, inspire, instigate, or what, it doesn't matter. The purpose we have as a speaker is to encourage everyone in the audience to think about something. So here's my 12-step process for creating the perfect program. The first thing is, what is it? The perfect program is that one which you would want to hear if you were in the audience. Now, that's not perfect for everyone. But what happens when you create that program you want to hear is you not only deliver the material that you want the audience to get, but you also show the audience that it's okay to be who you really are. And I'm convinced that's a very important point too few speakers recognize. That the idea of living a good life is to live as who we are. But everyone is different. So who I am is not going to be the same as who you are. My best approach then is to reveal who I am. I'm a speaker, a serious speaker. I have been since 1957. That's more than 60 years. I have been a technical instructor, a high-tech salesman, a product manager with program and product responsibilities. I have also been a full-time professional speaker for about 20 years. So let's get on with it. Creating the perfect program. The first step is to say, this is what the program is going to be about. If I deliver this program this way, it's perfect, at least perfect for me. The second step is a perfect program is the result of a success process. For me, success, which the OED defines as the accomplishment of an aim or purpose, success is a common result from many activities during the day. When I finish this video and post it, it will have been a success in that I have accomplished my aim. It may not be successful in your mind, but that's your responsibility, not mine. What I encourage you to do is to think about what's important, what ideas you can glean from this particular video. So that's the first step. Motivation is the first element of success. Making a commitment, in this case, setting up the video cam and recording, then editing and uploading. Making a commitment. The third step is expertise, being able to do it. And the fourth step is persistence. So that's the success process for everything we try to achieve. We need to want to do it. We need to be committed to doing it. We need to be confident in doing it. And we must be persistent. Never give up just because it doesn't work out the way we want. That's the second point in the process. Point number 3, choose a topic. I've had many topics in my career. My topic today is speaking, creating the perfect program. There are other topics I want to speak to, but the key here is to focus on the topic at hand. My focus today is speaking and giving a perfect program. Now you might say, wait a minute, this doesn't look rehearsed and you're not really smooth with this. And that's because this is what some might call a semi-impromptu program. I've given this program twice before as a 45-minute program. Hopefully this one will not be that long. Point number 4, create a program premise. I do this by writing a sentence stem. When I finish this program, the audience will have da-da-da-da-da-da. In this case, my premise is, when I finish this program, the audience will have considered what I see as a perfect program, which is to create and deliver the program I want to hear. And consider that in light of what they are trying to achieve as a speaker. We speakers are performing artists. We have much to choose from and very few rules. For me, the only rule in speaking is finish on time. You owe that to the audience. Other than that, there's a lot of BS that flies around about speaking. And by BS, I mean bloviating silliness. People talk about shortcuts and tricks and guaranteed ways to wow an audience. Wait a minute, is that what you want? You want a wow factor as part of your speaking ensemble? Not me. I've got enough problems wowing myself in my own life without trying to wow audiences. But I do want audiences to consider what I have to say and think about what applies to them and how they can use it either as given, modified, or even rejected to help them become a better speaker. Point number 6, design a program sequence. Now the program sequence is going to be dependent upon the type of program you're giving. I see speaking as having 4 primary formats. Speeches, which are just, I stand up and speak. Don't have props, don't have slides, it's a speech. The second format, the presentation, which is similar to a speech, but it usually has computer-generated slides. And it typically is more informational than influential. The third format is the seminar or the training program, where it's a presentation but with interaction, questions and answers during, where the presentation, if it has Q&A, has Q&A at the end. The fourth program format is the workshop, where the speaker is actually a facilitator, charged with listening and reacting, interacting, helping the group move to a previously agreed to solution to a problem or goal. In all four cases, speech, presentation, seminar or training, workshop, the program structure is the same. There's an opening, a middle, and a closing. It's just that the three elements are different depending on the program type you decide to employ. Now here's where I have something to offer you may want to consider. The opening. I see the opening to a program as the on-ramp to the journey. And there are three things I want to achieve in an opening. First, I want to establish the topic. Create a perfect program. I also want to establish my credibility. I've been a serious speaker since 1957, a full-time professional for 20 years of that. That gives me experience. It does not necessarily guarantee wisdom. And the third thing I want to do is to connect with the audience. And my connection with you today is, I'm a serious speaker. If you want to be a serious speaker, here are some things to think about and incorporate, modify, or ignore in your journey to excellence. That's the opening. The middle is actually the program. The opening is the on-ramp. The middle is the actual program. And I like to create a middle that has several mini programs. My first job as a professional speaker was as a technical instructor in the Air Force in 1957. One of the technical elements that we taught in the tech school was Ohm's law. Ohm's law is a very simple law. I equals E over R, where I is the current flow through a load, E is the voltage applied across the load, and R is the resistance offered to the voltage and current flow to maintain a quiescent state or balance. When teaching Ohm's law, you begin with Ohm's law. Here's the subject. Here's the formula. Then there are three mini programs inside there. One on current, one on voltage, one on resistance. Then at the end, you wrap it up. So the middle then also has a bit of an opening, middle, and close. And in the middle, there's elements that are really mini programs. Finally, the closing. Now, the closing is not formulaic. The closing can be done many ways. Sometimes you want a call to action. In most of my programs today, my closing includes an urging for those in the audience who are interested to pursue the topic that was covered after the program, not just close their mind and go away and say, okay, that's done. Because I believe that our success quest is one where we're constantly trying to improve by gaining new ideas and discarding old, out-of-date ones. Now, how do I do this? What's my process? My process, and this is point number 8, is the first thing I do is create the opening. And I work hard on the opening, because if the opening is good, by the time you finish it, the audience will be with you and ready for the journey. Now you might think, wait a minute, the next thing then is the middle. No, the next thing is the closing. Opening first. I have an idea of what's going to be covered in the middle, but then I want to create the closing. Think about your experiences. I've heard some great speakers in my life, and what I remember more than anything else are the openings and the closings. In fact, one of the best, Bob Murphy, closed and said, I could probably have said this and it would have been just as good a program. And he had been speaking for 40 minutes. He closed with this: every good speaker was once a bad speaker who kept on speaking. And that's the formula for success in a few words. Or Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. That nation of the people, by the people, for the people, and I may have gotten that backwards, shall not perish from the earth. Great closing. Then once you have the opening and the closing, now it's time to create the middle that takes you from that opening to that closing. So there you have it. That's how you create the perfect program. But how do you do it? If you are serious about speaking, you will encounter many truths offered by other speakers. One is the question of scripting. Should you script your material? And the answer to that one is yes, and then again, no. It doesn't matter whether you script the material, write it out, and refine it so that you have a written script, or that you use some other technique. What I use is a sequencing method. I create my programs by sequencing the topical points I want to cover. Then I go through that sequence and work on each point in the sequence so that I can say it the way I want to say it to get the effect I hope I will get by saying it that way. So scripting or not is a personal choice. If scripting works for you, do it. If it doesn't, don't do it. I started my professional speaking career speaking 6 hours a day, 5 days a week for 3 weeks. There's no way I could script 15 days of speaking word for word. But that was in 1957. I was 19 and I didn't know that much about speaking. Certainly didn't know as much as I know today. Point number 12. This is a Story Gordon add-on. I believe every program should begin with a line that has nothing to do with the program. What comics call a setup line. During the Olympics a couple of years ago, I opened a program by saying, if you've been watching the Olympics as much as I have, I hope your health care includes counseling. Because I was going a little bit nuts. Now, I had no idea how that was going to be received. It got a nice chuckle. But its purpose was to get everyone to focus on the program to come. If my opening line has something to do with the program I'm about to deliver, then those who weren't paying attention at that point have already missed the first part of the opening. So the setup line gets the audience's attention. That's its primary purpose. That's basically it, except for what I call the sign-off line. And the sign-off line can be something else, again, that has nothing to do with the program. When Murphy closed his program with every good speaker was once a bad speaker who kept on speaking, he added this sign-off line. He was speaking to several thousand professional speakers. Here was his sign-off line. If money is all you're getting out of speaking, you ain't getting enough. Now that is what I call a trigger phrase or an anchor phrase or a mantra. Think about that. What does that mean? Does that mean that you're not getting enough money? Or does that mean you should be getting more satisfaction and more a higher feeling of self-worth, more than the money delivers? What it means is whatever you think it means, which is to my point that the purpose of speaking is to get the audience to think about what's important, to add new ideas to their arsenal, possibly modify existing ideas that need a little improvement, and even cast aside ideas they have had to date that don't work. And there you have it. That's how to create a perfect program. This is the alpha test of that video. I'm going to edit it, put it up on my YouTube channel. If you're watching this and want to know more, click on the little YouTube icon on the video. That should take you to my YouTube channel, where there are more than 180 video clips on speaking and success, because those are the two essentials in my life.